Happy Halloween! Well, if I pulled my finger out and actually got this video edited quick enough, it might be Halloween still. If not, Happy Christmas, everyone! Yes, okay, so seriousness. I am fishing Sandbanks tonight. Now, I came to Sandbanks last week. I know, I can hear the uproar and the outrage from here. You guys are thinking, you didn't bring us with you? You didn't bring the cameras? Where's the video? Well, we're going to see a little highlights reel of my session last week. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And what a lovely evening it is. It is pleasantly warm. But just in case I get too warm, it is thankfully raining as well. So, you know, a little bit of a balance there. If that doesn't happen, I'll just sit here and watch the football instead. Oh, good, we have lightning now too. That's not at all worrying. Good news, I survived the lightning storm. The bad news, I'm at risk of drowning. It's raining and it's pretty biblical. Other holy books are available. Raindrops keep falling on my head. No, actually, I've got a leak. So that was a mind-numbing disaster. I just packed up and went home pretty quickly. Waving sticks of carbon around in the air with lightning? Nah, not for me. And in fact, Tom's top tip today would be, don't do that, ever. Anyway, enough of the rubbish. Well, actually, that would be the end of the video if there's enough of the rubbish, wouldn't it? Enough of my usual waffle. I'm at Sandbanks. It is October the 30th, so Halloween is tomorrow. It's absolutely glorious. One of the nicest evenings we've had for ages. The weather's been pants, hasn't it, with a capital Pa. And today we had a bit of a rare drop in the wind. No rain at all. The moon is beautiful. I don't know how well it'll come out on the cameras. Usually like a tiny dot of light, but there we go. It's a couple of days off of a full moon, which is a shame. It would have been great to have a full moon at Halloween, but such is life. And I've decided to come fishing, because if I don't come fishing tonight, it's wind and rain for the rest of the week, and that's that really. So I've literally just grabbed some rigs, grabbed some bait. I've got sand eel. That's not sand eel, is it? Anybody good at doing videos about fishing? Cares to come and help me out? Clearly I'm an idiot. These things are sand eels. This is a mackerel. Usual scenario, it's October. Oh, I've got some ragworm as well. I'm going to chuck out a affiliate flapper with a combination of and sand eel and ragworm. And then on the other rod, I'm going to do a bit of a blast it with a 2-hook loop rig with some bigger fish baits. I mean, I'll say bigger fish baits, it's probably still and sand eel and bit of mackerel, but you get the drift. The thing I love about fishing Sandbanks is, although the wind has dropped to nothing, Southbourne was still having a bit of a swell issue, and all the weed and disgustingness had all been sort of kicked into the got distracted, thought I had a bite, sorry, into the eastern end of Poole Bay, so that's sort of Sandbanks, no, it's a Sandbank, Southbourne and Hengistbury end of the bay, and although the wind is nothing, we've still got a big swell. Every time there's a storm in the Atlantic, we just get horrible swell at Southbourne, and it's rubbish. Sandbanks is like a different beach altogether. I love it. So although I can see Southbourne over there, I can see the little gap in the lights on the pond where I would normally be sat tonight. It's like a totally different beach. Lovely. It's flat, it's calm, it's beautiful. Hopefully there's still enough sort of colour in the water and stuff to push some fish in. And now the moon has gone behind the clouds, so we're guaranteed fish for at least 10 minutes until that cloud moves off. But no, I just love it down here. It's just really relaxed and calm. It's actually quite a good venue, even if it's still blowing a hoolie from the west. I think I mentioned in one of my previous videos, didn't I? It's a good little blow-off venue. So don't ignore Sandbanks. Oh, I just had a drop back bite. There is actually a nice bit of tide still pulling, so we're on the Vise for an hour or so still. Really late down here tonight. First cast went in the water at 7:45. nearly my bedtime. Still a little bit of tide, so I might just be bouncing down with the tide, but you never know. Let's have a quick tighten up on that. See if anything vaguely interesting happens. Nah, nothing that exciting. I'll let it sit there for a couple of minutes whilst I get my other rod in the water, I think. Well, I think there is actually something on there. I didn't even get my other rig baited up. Oh yeah! Oh, first cast. I like when a plan comes together. Try and avoid the groin. Now it's gone down tight quite a bit. Well, what have we got here? Ah, first cast. First cast, small-eyed. That bodes well for the session. That was just on the plain sand hill. That was a little bit further out, so into the channel down here. It's high tide, so that was probably a good sort of 80-90 yards out. It's not a giant. Might not even be a sizable one, but it's a start, isn't it? It's a lovely little small-eyed to start my session. Happy days. Tell you what I might do in a minute, actually. I'll give it, well, I don't know, give it an hour or so of fishing like this. I might chuck either a whole mackerel or just a head and guts of mackerel on a big circle hook, just flop it out into the sea. Good time of year for the big bass. From now until end of the year, sometimes even January, depending on how things go. This is a good time of year to bump into a big bass. So I might have a little dabble like that. I don't want to just always fish for rays. It's pretty boring. I'm just addicted to them. So I have decided instantly that I want to do the bass thing, okay? So what I'm going to do is get myself an earth. Hopefully we all know what these earth bars are by now. I've got, what's that, 4 foot, below 50 line. With an absolute gap. Look at the size of that. It's a 6-0 circle hook at the end. And I'm going to chuck on a head and guts of the mackerel, okay? Whole mackerels are great because you can get so many baits out of them. And one of the baits, which is the head and all the guts, is one of the best bits. So many people like chop the fillets off and chuck everyone else away. A bit like the squid. Don't chuck away the guts. So much flavour. How am I going to bait this? I'm going to go just behind the head. I'm going to snip straight through the backbone. And then at an angle from that cut, I'm going to cut diagonally down towards the how do I make the word bum hole sound intelligent? No, I can't. I'm gonna cut diagonally down to the bum hole. The anus. The vent. Once I've done that, I'm just going to pour it out. And what we're left with is the head. The head's a great part because it's a really tough, easy way of hooking a fish. I can just simply pass it from underneath the bottom lip, through the tough part of the top of the head there, like that. That's never going to come. But what we got here is all these guts and all that scent and all that lovely, gooey, bloody, oily mess that is going to attract a bass bigger than anyone's ever seen before in the history of bass fishing. Or conger. Probably a conger. And that's it. I'm not going to cast it out very far. If I was fishing southbound, I'd be flopping it out about 20 foot into that sort of drop off. You know where the sort of beach goes on and just goes donk like that. I mean, the seat didn't go donk. That was just my own added sound effect. But it suddenly drops off. It doesn't do that. It's much more gradual and it's quite shallow. So I'm probably going to flop it about 20 yards. Sort of get it into a little bit of water, just where the sort of the waves just start to break. Got a nice table, they call it, in between the waves there. And I'm going to probably flick it in that direction, closer to the groin. If there's any bass going to be mooching around, it's probably going to be in and around that stone groin. And that's it. And then I'll put that out there and I will leave it out there forever or until I've caught a fish, whichever one comes first. So I just reeled in my flapper rig with my worm on. So I could cast out my head and guts of mackerel, which I've now done. And guess what I caught? Go on, I'll give you 5 guesses. Nope. Nope. No, and if it was a pout, I'd be far more excited. No, and no, but good guess. No, I caught a gilthead bream. Only a little bubble one. A bona fide, genuine little gilthead bream. Look at that. On the 30th of October, in the pitch black, we are bream fishing. Summer is still here, guys. That has kind of now made me think, ooh, maybe I shall stick with my flapper, or even possibly get a flapper with some slightly different hooks and things out, and see if there's any more of them around. So whilst I'm getting my, well, the closest thing I have in my box to a bream rig anyway, out, who can tell me why I cast in that direction with my bass bait and not in that direction? So I've got a stone groin there, and I've got a stone groin over there, and I decided to choose the one that was over there. It's quite a simple but vaguely logical reason. Basically, I am facing, as I usually do, along the beach, okay? So my setup is pointing, let's just call it east for sake of argument. I know it's not quite east, but along the beach, basically, not straight out to sea. So my headlight and the floodlights I use for my filming, everything's facing that direction. Oh, I've got a bite. That's a good time to turn around, wasn't it? So stand there pointing like a pose. So quickly, whilst that's nibbling away, whereas that direction, behind all the lights, is dark. It's like really dark. Now, if I was a bass, I'd be hanging around over there and not over there under Blackpool illuminations, which is me when I'm fishing on the beach with my cameras. So that's the reason. I've chosen... There is a bite. Ooh. This is exciting. Shall we have a little look? Seeing as you're with me, it's a little more doggy. Hopefully not an annoying strap conger. I don't really want to catch any more of those ever. No, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to leave that there. I'm actually going to put some bait on this, and we'll alternate between fish bait and worm bait on that rod, and then I can leave my head and guts out there as a sleeper. Judging by the way my rod is not disappearing into the sea, I'm going to guess it's not a particularly big fish. Right, let's let the rig baited up. Let's have a look. Ooh. Oh, that might be a ray, you know. Considering how little that did on the bite, I'm quite surprised how heavy that is. Unless it's a double shot dogfish. Pretty convinced it's definitely a ray. It's too heavy for a dog and it's doing a little bit too much. It keeps stopping and nodding and moving off down to the right, despite the fact there's no tide. Oh. Whoa. That's a much better fish. Where'd you Adam and Eve that? And that great big lump of a thing was just giving a tiny little dogfish bite. Ouch, it just bit me. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let me move my table out of the way. Come on and have a look at this thing. There's a lovely male small-eyed. As per usual, as is customary, I have to touch the gonads. There they are. That's how you can tell it's a male. Beautiful thing. I couldn't believe that. Such a tiny little bite, delicate little bite. And there's quite a scrappy one on the way in as well. Lovely. Let's get it straight back. Actually bit me. Ah. bleeding. God. Bitten by a wild animal. Easy for you to say. Bitten by a wild animal on Halloween. Ooh, it wouldn't turn into some kind of like monster. Like Spider-Man. That's what happened to Spider-Man, wasn't it? Got bitten by a spider. Turned into Spider-Man. I could turn into Rayman. I've got magical powers Rayman would have. He could fly, I suppose, with wings. And munch people's thumbs. That's his main defence. Starting to feel a bit funny, guys. Since I got bitten, just not feeling myself. I know. Feels sorry for my wife. Definitely feeling a bit hornier than normal. Cures for mild monsterisation. Right. Here we go. Drink blood of bat. No, thank you very much. Sacrifice a virgin. Well, that's a bit frowned upon. Goodness sake. Oh, easy cures. Here we go. Rub stomach and pat head at same time. Seriously? Fine. No. Rub stomach, pat, no. Pat head, no. Ah, sorry, where's a virgin? It's it's a tiny little bat. Well, that's rubbish. Well, there we go. Let's not get too excited about that. So there we go. I will now be putting my sand eel out, and I'm going to put that gilt head down as a one-off fluke. And the bass rod's just gone off like a lunatic, and I wasn't prepared, and I haven't got the cameras ready. Sorry guys, missed the bite. Glad I had my drag set, otherwise I'd be -1 rod. Oh, I dropped it. Oh, I feel sick. That's... Oh, guys. It's just fishing. Oh. Screamed line off the drag. Went off like a lunatic. I was so busy trying to switch the cameras on and stuff. Oh. You don't drop fish on circles normally. Oh, guys, don't know what to say. That was my moment, my big bass on camera. Oh, let me turn this down. Hang on, let's. Stuff everywhere. So, what was happening was having a little conversation with my wife on the phone via text. I'm not blaming her, by the way. If you're watching this, darling, not your fault. And all of a sudden, there's a bzzz. I've looked around, my rod's doing that. I'm like, oh my god! So I've picked it up, lifted into it, fish on. So whilst I'm holding my rod with one hand, trying to press buttons on cameras and knives with the other hand, and it was going, and I had it on, and then I had it off. Oh, gutted. Oh well, right, let's do it again. Let's get another head and guts out there. It worked. Let's try and land this one. I'm going to salt for the rest of the video, so if you just want to fast forward or just watch something else, that's fine, I fully understand. Oh. 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 Is that fish? Well, certainly not doing what the last one did, but... There's a bit of weed bouncing on the line. No, I don't know. Yes. Come on. Don't come off this time. That was weird. That was not doing what a bass should do. At all. Which is odd. Feels like a big fish. Ooh. Oh, I'm actually shaking a bit now. That feels like a big fish. You know when you've lost one, come on, baby. Oh, swimming towards me. At least I hope it's swimming towards me. Oh, you're kidding me. Sniffing Nora. The sight of that. That's not what I wanted to catch. Put up a good scrap anyway. That was actually a hard fighting fish. Look at that. Hang on. That's that one-eyed conger. There's no way that is the same fish I caught, was it the very beginning of this year or this time last year down here, doing exactly the same thing. Well, I thought that was going to be my big bass, guys. Let's get it back. Well, that was a turn up for the books. I'm reasonably confident that my first fish I dropped was a bass, because it ran. Just wrapped the water, and it just went off. It's a totally different fight. That one, it was a sort of donk bite, which, again, in hindsight, it seems to be relatively obvious what it was. So I'm convinced that I did lose a bass on the first one, but dirty great big conger. I should have weighed that. I can't have been far for double figures, you know. That was fat. But the really interesting thing is a one-eyed conger, and I'm sure that conger I caught down here, whenever it was, on that video where I completely messed up the sound. Yeah, you know, one of the videos where I completely messed up the sound. I'm sure that had one eye as well. So it's obviously just a resident conger to this little bit of beach. That's quite cool. Kind of mixed emotions about that fish. I'm glad that my last interaction wasn't a lost fish, so I'm glad to have caught a fish. I'm glad it was a big fish, and it was great fun to catch because it scrapped really hard, surprisingly hard. But I was just a bit disappointed it's a conger and not a bass. Still got that little bit of disappointment in my heart where I've lost that bass, want to catch one. But I had a good scrap with a big snake. Come on. Be more positive, Thomas. Well, it's it's 10:30, sorry. So I've been at it for 2 hours and 45 minutes now, which, although not a huge amount of time, is just about enough time for me on a school night. I've got work in the morning, sadly. In an ideal world, I'd have got down here a little bit earlier than I did and fished a little bit more of the flood, but never mind. It's been quite an eventful little session, really. Fish on the first cast, little small-eyed, that was nice. Another small-eyed, a bigger small-eyed later on, which did a very deceiving little bite. A little bonus gilthead, that was lovely to see. And then the bass/conger fiasco. So yeah, oh yeah, and I got bitten and turned into a monster. I'm going to forget that. Yeah, other than that, nothing really happened. onwards and upwards. I think I'm going to be stewing on that lost bass a little bit for a while. Maybe that's what I should do. Maybe in my next video I can just come down somewhere down south or down here, down wherever, and just fish 2 rods, big baits, try and catch a big bass. Actually, that'd be quite a good thing to do in stormy weather as well, wouldn't it? Find a sheltered location, fish for a big bass. It's a good time of year for them. So I think that'll be my next video. Big bass or bust. Bass or bust. Not boobs bust, by the way. Although I'd probably get quite a few views, wouldn't it? Unless they're mine. In this case, well, we wouldn't get very many views. Anyway, until that one, see you guys later.